Balanced Growth Show live. I'm your host, Dr. Travis Perry. Today, we're going to be talking all about vacations. Now, listen, I hear this from clients all the time. Taking vacations is too much of a hassle. When I get back, there's more work than when I left. Things pile up. Maybe you're afraid that you're going to lose business. I hear that a bunch. Or even the email. I've got thousands of email now, and before it, I've got to spend all this time going through it. I know all the reasons why entrepreneurs, business owners say that they are really struggling to take a vacation. But let's talk about all the reasons why it's so good for you. Here's what I've found. I found that when you actually leave the office and don't answer your phone or your email, your text, or any social media, anything, you can clear your head. It also allows you to celebrate and really be able to just, enjoy the time that's not working. Now, I enjoy working, Travis, so work's not a problem. So do I. But there's other things in life, and that's what brings us the balance. And when I talk about clearing your head, a lot of times when I go on vacations, I'm flying, I'm driving, right? I'm going somewhere. I'm out of the office for a reason. It's a physical disattachment from where I'm located. It allows me time to think, even if I'm not, writing stuff down or notes, which I have done. And in the past, I've definitely brought a journal just in case, or an iPad or something to write notes, which is wonderful. Or sometimes just fantastic ideas come to my mind as I'm traveling. It's also time with family and friends, cherished time that I would never, ever give back. My family has gone coast to coast several times. We've actually really enjoyed the COVID break from so many things. We traveled a bunch that year. I know there's a lot of things we didn't enjoy about it, but that's one thing that we can definitely point as a absolute blessing in our lives. And we've continued to do that. In fact, we've driven all over the country. A lot of our cars will have 250 miles plus on our vans, our minivans, just because we've driven a ton of highway miles. Now, it's also, interestingly enough, good for you and your spouse. A lot of people struggle, especially if they have young children, to get away. I'm telling you, one of the best things that you can do for your marriage is to get away, is to go away, to be away for a break, for a quarter, for an overnight, even if you're just, spending a night at a hotel one town over. It's so good for you to be away from everything else and focus on relationship. I could spend a whole hour there. Some of the best ideas, quite honestly, just come to me on trips. Business ideas, personal ideas, and as I've been adventuring, it's really forced me to then think of, well, what's the next adventure? What's the next business goal? How can I celebrate the next thing? We've done adventures that are very rigorous, like Costa Rica. We did, some surfing every day down in 85-degree water. It was amazing. But we did all these other jungle excursions and adventures. We rappelled down waterfalls. So you had to be in good physical shape. What it also did is that, I'm in 6 feet of snow up here in Logan, Utah. I had to go to the pool every Thursday and swim, or every Friday with my friend, so we could get into surfing shape, because I was not in surfing shape, and it takes a lot of energy and stamina to do that. So we would swim every week in preparation. I have mountain bike trips that I'm planning to do in southern Utah, Moab, St. George, other places that have just incredible trails. So I'm training now, even this last week, even with the snow that we have on the ground. That is my internal motivation to get going, is I've got to get on that trail by end of April. Who cares if there's snow on the ground? I'm on my bike, right? Or I'm at the gym and spinning. So those adventures, these trips, actually have a way of helping me to be healthier. And I take 14 to 16 weeks off a year. I don't work Fridays. I spend 25 hours a week in the office working. I don't work outside unless there is an issue at home, or I've got to be flexible because I'm taking a few days here off or whatnot. So, I do have a laptop and I do that at home sometimes, but that's not the norm. Why? Well, I'm super productive at work, super productive. And it allows me to have this lifestyle. Now, Travis is not saying you should only work 25 hours a week. For some people, that seems insanity, right? There's no way I could do that. I'm telling you, when you take vacations and as you come back from these vacations, it fuels me to make more time for more vacations. And as I've gone on and been able to do this for years now, I've been taking more and more time off. Now, I've even had some trolls on social media who've tried to put me down and say, Travis, that's irresponsible. How could you do that? Taking all that time off of work. And, my response is, that's why I'm working. I don't know what your motivation is, but my time with my family, my personal health, my enjoyment is why I work. I want to provide a great living, but I want to help my family. My employees don't work more than 30 hours a week. I have 4 or 5 virtual assistants, 2 or 3 here in the office, depending on the time of day and the week, that are working here on the team. So I've also found that a lot of people, they're really just afraid. They're afraid to take a vacation because they don't have a system. They don't have a plan. They don't know what to do. But if you think about it, every single day, if you leave work, you are taking a vacation. You're leaving work, you're going home, you're doing something else, and you're coming back, right? It's a break. Over the weekend, if you take Saturday and Sunday off, right? That's a vacation from work. Some people who struggle, who are total workaholics, will work right through every day and they won't care and they're making lots of excuses. But I'm telling you, they're missing out. There's so many benefits to taking these vacations. Those of you who have taken vacations know that sometimes you're the most productive right before you leave, right? Because what do? We tend to cram all these things in and we want to get stuff done in order for us to go. And then when we come back, we're like, oh, overwhelmed. Well, I'm going to show you a better way. So please stick around. I want to show you a system that I've used for years that helps me to be able to do what I do and take these 16 weeks, almost 4 months off a year. We've taken, about 32 days off at one time. I'm not the king of extended vacations. I have another podcast episode for that with Zach Larson, so be on the lookout for that. But stick around to the end of the show today, this live show. I'll give you my system for taking vacations and coming back refreshed, rejuvenated, and all around in better shape, business and personal. So I'm going to now bring on a special guest. And Josh, excuse me if I totally butcher your last name. I did a cardinal sin and I forgot to ask you how you pronounce it. But I'm going to say Josh Kalinowski.
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. You
Yes.
nailed it. That's like better than what I probably say.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend? I know you're an entrepreneur. You own several businesses. Tell us a little about you and your story.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Travis, thanks so much for having me on and absolutely loved what you're talking about with vacations. So excited to be chatting about that a little bit more today. But yeah, entrepreneur, business owner. I've got 6 different companies that I am either a partner in or an owner in, and live here in the great state of Wyoming. So we're neighbors, state neighbors
Awesome.
here. So
Yep. We're just
a lot of
across the way.
Say it again.
I'm just across the way because I'm in Logan, so I'm really just over Bear Lake, and we're there almost. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So we got great country out here, just as you guys have there, and family. I've got an amazing wife and 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and yeah, just looking at opportunities to create more vacations in my life as well too. So perfectly well timed for this conversation.
That's excellent. Well, I like to let you tell your story. How did you become an entrepreneur? How did you decide you wanted to get into roofing and real estate and coaching? Talk to us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, I'll just be real brief on this one, just because of time. But I will tell you, so that was never the plan. And to be honest with you, I had an opportunity. I was very talented, gifted when I was younger. I was a very big fish in a small pond. I had an opportunity to go play professional baseball, and I did that for a number of years. And at the ripe young age, old age of 26 years old, that dream That chapter of my life actually came to an end. I had a number of surgeries that forced me into early retirement, as I say. And that was not at all what I felt like I was called to do, and what I thought that God had kind of created me to do, to be honest with you. So super devastated at the end of that. Was completely lost, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. 26 years old, uneducated. I was broken physically, mentally, and emotionally, and financially as well too by that time, and didn't really know what to do. My father was a builder, and I knew that I didn't want to go back to school because I felt like at the age of 26, if you think in the reference of sports, that's very old. People are retiring at the age of 30. So I was 4 years away from potential retirement. In all reality, I was only 26 years old. So life was still very much ahead of me. But I chose not to go to school because I just didn't know what to do. And my father was a builder, so I went ahead and got into real estate. I did not want to pound nails the rest of my life and be a part of that, but I did want to make sure that I was a part of kind of somewhat that my dad was doing, and an opportunity, really, to be honest with you. So 2006, got into real estate, and of course, many of us know what happened in 2006. It was a booming economy, and so it was a really great opportunity to get into real estate. And then, of course, went through some financial hardships, of course, in 2008 till 2009. And that what really got me into the diversity of that, because I realized, like, man, I don't want to be broke again. I don't want to have an entire industry dictate the financial success of myself or my family. And so from there, I really started to diversify. I got into property management. My father, once again, was a builder. We were building homes. We diversified, got into some roofing as well too. But every one of those companies, or every one of the companies that we have currently right now, for the most part, have a very close interaction with real estate. So they complement each other really well. And they help us diversify in the kind of boom and bust economy that we live in here, especially in Wyoming. So, and that's really kind of how that all started. And we continue to keep adding companies here and there that really fit that mold for us. And or now that I have a little bit better of an idea of like what I'm called to do, but the passion and the purpose that I've got in my life, I also partner, or I will open up other opportunities that will kind of help fulfill that, for that matter.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot that you and I could relate on this. My dad was a plumber, and I did not want to be in the plumbing business, but I was being groomed that direction and decided to go to college, and became a financial advisor right at the heels of the dot-com bust. And
Mhm.
about 2008, I started scratching my head going, there's got to be more for me to do, diversify a little bit, kind of that same idea. And I started getting into coaching about the same time, to help people not only with their financial goals, but with their health, with their relationships. I saw these things really come to a head. And I wonder if you did too. Did you see a lot of your clients, like as the stress was mounting from financial pressures, their relationships maybe start to crumble, or their health takes a toll? Did you see that with others, or maybe even in your own life as you went through that financial hard time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was an evolution of my quote unquote leadership within myself. From the age of 26 to the really almost to the age of 36, I was really broken. I didn't really know. I felt like, actually, to be honest with you, that my purpose was gone, that I had kind of somehow screwed that up, that I was not necessarily a mistake, but I had made some decisions in my life that took away what I could have become and should have become. And so internally, there was a lot of challenges that I faced within myself. And so externally, what that did, because I am a competitor, because I am driven, it just made me go deep dive into being successful. And what did success at that time look like? Well, it meant financial success. It meant business success. So, I mean, I drove into that, and I thought that was really the prototypical thing that a man should do, that a husband or a father should be providing for their family. And of course, as a businessman, that was the thing too, is that I just needed to be successful, and I needed to build my quote unquote kingdom around me. And as I got older, as I started getting some coaching, as I started to really dive into some great books that helped open up what that could actually look like, and really what it should look like, that's when the kind of the evolution of who I was then to who I am now has started to shift. And what I realized is that I was just trying to fix myself.
Hmm.
Just trying to fix myself. And from that, it has allowed me to have the opportunity to be able to mentor and coach a number of other business owners, entrepreneurs as well too, that, they can relate, and they were at where I was at, or they can see themselves in a little bit of what I've done in my life. And I think that brings in a little bit of a trust, obviously a little bit of authority as well too, but also some compassion for, hey, I've been there and I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that this is an introspective time for you and you made some major changes. I like our besides being pro ball, which I never wanted to. I played ball when I was little, but man, I found soccer. Soccer just
Yeah.
captivated me, and I always loved playing baseball. I played baseball the rest of my life. My dad played it in high school. He loved it. But yeah, it gives you a sense of purpose. But I love that you're talking about there's something greater. Like, maybe you felt at the time. What do you feel right now that you found has really given you that professional purpose?
Um, I guess maybe give me a little bit more detail on that. Like,
So
what do you mean by that?
yeah, if you feel like, baseball was this failed purpose or you didn't really, live up to it internally, even though you did, right? You
Mhm.
did. Majority of kids grow up wanting to hit, balls in a big field and never make it, right?
Mhm.
You did
Right.
that. Like you
Yeah.
did that. And I've seen your rookie card. It's kind of cool, actually. I might show that here. But it's a fantastic feat that you made it to where you're at. Now that you're out of that space, though, do you find it being an entrepreneur fills that spot? Is it coaching other entrepreneurs? Tell us a little bit about where you're getting that fill.
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, just knowing myself even more intimately, personally, has helped with that fulfillment. Knowing my personalities, knowing the traits that I have, being comfortable in my own skin, so to speak, I guess is what people can kind of refer to. I would say that if you have to put it into uh, a tangible thing, is like, first of all, I want to be a hero to my kids, right? I want my kids to look at me and go, God, I my dad was the best, right? I want to be the absolute best I can be for my wife. I want her to know that her husband, her spouse, her partner is so deeply devoted to the success of our marriage and the success of our family, that it's without question, right? I mean, so that is like at the essence of it. But what gives me power to do that is also obviously achieving success in other aspects of my life. So the physical aspect of my life, the business aspect of my life, and of course, obviously, just the growing maturity of my life as well too. So I really feel like they all kind of complement each other, right?
Hmm.
And but I would say, if you're gonna take everything away, I mean, if you take away the superficial stuff, I mean, the core of it really is the family. The core of it is what is the legacy that I'm helping build within my boys and my girls, and what are the expectations that they are going to have on what they look at in as a marriage, or they look as in becoming a father. And of course, with my girls, I want them to look at like what are the expectations that they should be putting on other men that are going to be eventually their spouse, and what does that role model look like? Are they those expectations of what or how I was as a father, or what they saw me as a husband to their mom? Like, can they look at that and go, well, that's what my dad did. That's the kind of man that I want, right?
Yeah.
So, and I get a little bit morbid too, I mean, I'm a human being. I also know that, like, listen, I could be taken at any point in time, right? I know that my life is in the hands of somebody much greater than myself, and of course, obviously, the longer that I can live, the greater that an opportunity that is for me to make impact. But I mean, we all don't. You nor I might not be here tomorrow, right? And
Right.
what does that look like? So,
Absolutely.
to be selfishly, I want to know that my wife has married the best husband that she could possibly ever marry. And then anybody else that she potentially would marry in the future pales in comparison to the man that I am. So that is
Good.
probably an internal drive within me to say, am I becoming the best person I can for her?
So I love this discussion, Josh. It fits perfectly into our discussion on balance. Sometimes it's a wink and a nod, and let's focus on business growth. But man, you hit the artery, the main vein of this discussion, which is balance. Like, how can we grow and have amazing businesses and still be, growing personally, growing relationally, growing with our health? Like, you look like you're in great health, you have a great family, you got your head on your shoulders, your priorities are in order, and that's one of the biggest things that if people understand, it's not time management, It's priority management.
Mhm.
Priority management is what we need to focus on and what are our greatest priorities in life. So, you answered my next question was, what's balance look like? Like for you, you already mentioned, like it's focusing on what God wants you to be, be there for your wife, be there for your kids. They are blessed to have you in their life. So many people struggle with this who don't have supportive husbands, supportive dads. And I know I'm on a mission to help the world change in this way. And so the world needs examples like you, buddy. And I appreciate that. Let's jump over to the business a little bit on what you've done to grow and scale.
Yeah.
What have you done that's been successful for you? How have you done it? Has it been word of mouth? Has it been marketing? Has it been growing a team? Salespeople? What is that for you has helped you really grow as a business owner?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think a couple things. One is, first and foremost, I recognize, as we talked about a little bit before, I'm a man of faith, and I recognize that none of this could be possible without him really opening the doors and guiding the ways. There's many times in my business ventures that I have failed. I've made some really bad decisions. A lot of it out of naivety. A lot of it because I just didn't know any better. I wasn't either getting coaching at that time or I just hadn't experienced it, right? It was just failure going forward. But I would say some of the things that we've done intentionally that have helped us continue to expand and have some success is one is I've given away authority. I brought other people within our organizations that I have hired and brought up and challenged to take on more responsibility. And so by doing that, first of all, it allows us to raise the ceiling because I'm going to cap us. I understand there's things that I do really, really well. But there's also things that I am just not talented in and not very good at. And so I need to surround myself and bring in other people that are more talented in a lot of these other areas. And so by doing that, you also have to give up authority. You have to allow them to do the things that they're really good at, or you have to continue to challenge them to do even more of the good things that they're good at so that you can have more space, that you can have more freedom, that you're not in control of everything. And so giving up that authority, I think, is a huge, huge thing. I think one of the things that I've also recognized as well, too, which gives us stability and the opportunities to grow in down markets, opportunities to seize moments that are out there when maybe not everybody else is able to do it, is that you got to protect the ship. And this is something that it's taken me a lot of years to recognize and to really be in the forefront of our businesses is how do you protect the ship so that it becomes almost kind of bulletproof, recession proof to a certain point. When the rest of the industries that you might serve are maybe holding back and they're not advertising as much, or they're not looking at those opportunities of growth and expansion because they're trying to protect what little of a ship they have. How do you position yourself so that you're a powerful opportunity and you have the ability to expand even when times are not ideal out there? How do you withstand the storms much longer than everybody else and still not have to sacrifice all the things that other people might be giving up? And so I think as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, as a leader, that is a massive priority that you must be able to do is protect the ship, which is, of course, when I talk about that, it's really the financial part of it, the piece of it. So yeah, you have, because when you have stability, when you have financial stability in your business, first of all, you just naturally have more confidence. Secondly, your staff feels so much better because they have security within it as well, too. And third is you get to make moves and you get to be aggressive. We get to play offense. And one of the challenges that we don't do enough is we don't play offense enough. And kind of going back to a little bit of what you were talking about, Travis, and this idea of balance and all that. And I know that you've got a lot of research, way more than I do on it. But I look at the fact is that it's a season, right? What season are we in? And then what is the hunt, right? Are we in that season of our life? Is it business, right? And do we know that, like, listen, I might have to spend more time in the office. I might have to spend more time doing this because it's going to create more opportunities in the future for more time off or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're a season that you got a teenage son or a teenage daughter that's going through some challenges. How are you in pursuit of that relationship? How are you in pursuit, hunting down as a father, as a husband, or as a business owner, whatever area that is, in that season, and recognizing it's only a season. It's not going to be the rest of your life. It is simply just a season in your life that you might need to be really, really dedicated to.
Oh, wow. You brought up some really great points here. Yeah. I talk about seasons when we're discussing time management. Yes, it's priorities, but time management comes second. Now that you know where you're focused on, which for you, made it very clear God is number one in your life, and you're nowhere without Him, which I 100% agree for me as well. But then, where are you spending your time? And so, a lot of people like to say, well, I've got to hustle, but for how long? The industry I came from said you got to hustle for 10 years and then you've made it. It's like,
Mhm.
no, those 10 years, I won't see my kids. Like my oldest kids, their lives are gone. When my dad passed away at 49, I looked at them and said, nope, I'm spending as much time as I humanly can. So I've got to be more productive with the time that I have at work. And that really fueled me. But I like this idea of seasons. And I've always said, it's times and seasons. You might have a time in your life, and maybe that's, a year or two where you've got to push hard. Okay, set a boundary, right? Or maybe it's a season. CPAs, tax season. Some people allow the tax season in their life to continue for years and decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always, always something. And they honestly don't know how to let up. So that's a
Mhm.
struggle. But I'm with you. But I like this idea of the hunt, and maybe a very specific challenge. Speaking of challenges, I really latched onto this. I've talked about delegation with so many others who have built teams who have done well, but to be able to challenge your employees, right? And some of this comes down to like setting goals with them, finding out what their goals are, but as a business leader and as a balanced leader, helping them to grow personally and challenge them internally in the business. I love that concept. And then protecting the ship, because you are absolutely right. We're much more confident and able to take and make strategic choices when the business is doing well.
Yeah.
And I'd say sometimes if the business is doing too well, I've made mistakes too on the other side where I'm like, oh shoot, it's going so well, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and it didn't pan out. But
Yeah.
I love that you talked about learning from those failings, because I think as an entrepreneur, that is the life lesson, right? Learn from it and grow. Such great direction. There's other business owners that are struggling with balance. They
Mhm.
don't got, they don't have their head on their shoulders as well as you do when it comes to balance and running their business and scaling and have their priorities in order. What would you tell them if they're struggling with finding out what their priorities really are, with how they should be running their business, spending their time? What's something that you might expand to them?
Well, I think a couple of things when it comes to business owners and maybe why they're not capable of either having vacations or they're just not capable of kind of um, I guess getting to that point of what we're talking about here is one is that I think a lot of us we're so busy looking down and in that we're not looking up and out. Clarity is absolutely huge. Where do you want your business to go? What does success look like for you? What are the things that you want to achieve that actually are worth pursuing, right? And so I think that we have to spend a lot of time constantly revisiting, getting clarity in the moment, right? Things can change. Companies can, once again, companies can become diverse. Maybe you have a new product line. Maybe you have a new avatar. Maybe you have more opportunities to grow in different regions. And so I think if you just are continuously looking down and in on your business and you're just constantly growing it, you lose the ability to understand where you're at in the timeline of the success that you want to have. And so I think when you end up doing that, then of course, obviously that just leads to confusion. It leads to burnout. It leads to the lack of passion. It leads to maybe that season being way too long. And so, as a business owner, I think it's super important for you, first of all, to be once again looking at who you're surrounding yourself with. I call it like, who are you inviting to your table, right? Who are the people that actually that you are getting advice from on a regular basis that are hitting these certain areas of your life? And of course, we all know business is absolutely important. Making money is absolutely important. We believe, I believe tremendously deep about this idea of God wants you to have money. God does, because He wants you to be generous with it, right? He wants you to use it for good. And I think we need to, especially people of faith, have to have this concept of like, how do we do more good? How do we do more good in the businesses that we own? How do we do more good with the opportunities that we see and that we've been blessed with so that we can continue to bless others with it as well? So, but we can only get that when it comes to having more clarity. And really, one of the topics that we had kind of talked about, and you really mentioned at the very beginning, is you do that when you create space, right? One of the things that I talk a lot about, and it's just, maybe it's not necessarily a vacation, but like, what's your flame time look like? When is the time that you have in that business week that you're focused on things that are helping you grow your company? But what's the flame time? What's that flame time, which is actually the things that inspire you, that excite you, that get you into the point of like, this is why I'm doing it, right? Is it vision casting? Is it looking at opportunities of growth? Is it looking at opportunities for a new product? But we don't spend enough of the flame time, because we spend so much time building the wax. We start working on the wick a little bit, but that wax is so big, and that's just the monotonous things of our lives that just kind of take up that and consume us with just that overwhelm, right? Oh, what did you do today? Well, I was just grinding. Okay, well, you're building the wax. Where are you intentionally spending time in the flame work that you once were inspired by, that drove you to become an entrepreneur? And I will tell you, I lost that for many years. And it wasn't until a mentor of mine, a really, really amazing man in my life, called me out on it and says, hey, listen, you are not spending any time working on flame work. And I'm like, I don't even know what he was talking about. The concept was just really weird to me, right? But once I started to incorporate it, it's amazing how much happier I was and how much more joy I found in doing all of the work that I was doing.
I love that you talk about this, the flame and the wax and the wick and all these. This is a great analogy. I talk about the sweet spot, right? Are you working in your sweet spot? Because, this is, for a baseball player, what's the sweet spot?
Yeah, the middle of the bat.
Exactly. And when you hit it, like you don't even feel like you hit the ball, right? It's just like
Yeah.
pure butter. And I remember my dad, I had a hard time, as most kids did, like trying to hit the ball straight. I was always like swinging up, and those are watching on the video, like I'm swinging up here, looking like I'm golfing, right? So I'd miss the ball like 9 times out of 10. So my dad took me aside, brought me out into this baseball field, and he stacked up cinder blocks. And those that you take a steel bat, and if you hit a cinder block, it hurts just a little bit, right? It's the ringing feeling, right? So he put the ball on top of the cinder block. There's like 3 or 4 up. He's like, okay, swing. I'm like, no. He's like, you got to swing straight. And he taught me how to swing the bat straight, so I'd hit the ball off the cinder blocks. And man, my batting average just went way up just from that one principle. But I remember when I would hit the ball, after the pitcher would send that ball, when I'd hit it, it doesn't feel like I hit anything. Like, that's the sweet spot. My dad would always be like, sweet spot, focus on that. But how many entrepreneurs are so ADD that they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do all these things, but they don't focus on what they're good at. So they feel burnt out, to use your analogy. That candle's burnt out. It's done. Yeah. And they've got to build it back up every day in order to feel amazing. For me, I know if I do shows like this, if I'm coaching my clients, if I'm on stage, if I'm doing my podcast, if I'm creating content for my book or for courses, like that is where I'm alive. Everything else, I try to delegate, automate, delete it, minimize it, whatever I can do to get out, because I don't want to be hitting the cinder block wall anymore. Yeah. Like, it hurts. It's not fun. And I just want to hit that sweet spot. So for a baseball man, hopefully that analogy hits home, pun intended, Josh. I love this conversation, but I want to ask you maybe 1 or 2 last questions here. Sure. When you go on vacations, what do you like to do? What do you like to, where do you like to go? Where do you and your family like to be able to go on vacation?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. One is, I will say the vacation for me is with my wife. I absolutely love being in pursuit of my wife in that relationship. And I think it's very important for us because, we are in that stage of our life. We got a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And so they're all in activities. And so, as you know, in this time and age, there's a travel team for everything. And so for us, a lot of the times that we spend our weekends is either divided because she's chasing children one way and I'm chasing children the other way. And so there's so it's very, very important for us to continue to have that quality time. And so we will make time for that numerous times throughout the year. And, it could be a couple days. I mean, it's 2 days, maybe it's one day, but we make that time for each other. I think it's also very important for us to do it individually. So, one of the things that's a passion of mine, of course, and we talked a little bit about it, is just staying healthy. And what are the activities that you can do that are recreational or so forth that bring life to you? And so I'm a big proponent of running either Spartan races or DECA races or challenges and so forth. And so my wife and I have an amazing relationship where we support each other in that. And so here in another week, I'm going to go with a bunch of gentlemen from our man-made group, and we're going to go do the R3 challenge, which is the rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. It's about 48 miles. We're going to go tackle it, do something really hard and amazing, but also have some downtime as well too, to create that space so that we can vision cast and so forth. So I think that alone time is absolutely equally as important as well too when it comes to vacations. Then, of course, obviously, as a family, we love to go out and do things as well, too. So we will take opportunities. We'll take a weekend away. We're spring break. We're taking the crew to Hawaii, which I will tell you that has been something that has been a visualization that I've been working on for the last year and a half, of this opportunity to take our kids to a very nice beach and an island. And so to have that manifestation come to fruition here in about 2 weeks is absolutely so rewarding and amazing, because there's a lot of things that had to happen in order for us to achieve that. And so I think it's really important for us to look at all three of those different categories when it comes to vacations, right? Because sometimes, as we know, as parents, especially as parents of younger children, the vacation is always not a vacation.
Right.
The vacation is something that you typically need a vacation from because of the chaos that comes through that, right? And so I think it's really good for you to understand and look at, like, okay, what type of a vacation am I looking for? And I will say some of the greatest things, and I'll leave you this one thing. There's Mark Batterson is one of my absolute favorite authors that are out there, and had the amazing opportunity to interview him as well. And he talked about this silent retreat. And I thought it was absolutely and it's been an absolute game changer, because it really aligns with a lot of the stuff that we were talking about today. And how are you taking yourself and separating yourself from the chaos of life? Which chaos is good. That's nothing. I'm not saying like it's a bad thing, right? It's the opportunity to have all of these children and all these activities and all of these opportunities and businesses. Like, that's great, right? You can thrive in that chaos, but you do need to separate yourself. And so how do you do that to fill your cup and replenish yourself? What are the things you're doing intentionally in order to have that vision, to have that foresight, to have that motivation to do the hard work that it takes to be the best father, husband, business owner, man, wife, woman, whatever the case may be? And so to answer your question, I really think that there's three things, and when it comes to vacations, that you really need to make sure that you put on your calendar.
This is so good. Yeah, I'm thinking about my mountain bike trips. I take the boys, but a lot of times, I guess the older boys, and a lot of times it's just for me. Time with them, but then like just out camping or being on the trail and getting in the zone. And when I ride my bike and other things, like it's usually just for me. Like, it's a pretty selfish thing. Like, I just want no music, no individuals around me, just to go. So I love the individual stuff. And the time with the family, you're exactly right. You come back and you feel like, well, I need a vacation from that vacation. I call family vacations family trips, because they're a trip. They're not a vacation for mom and dad.
Yep.
You work hard, right? It's their trip and their vacation from whatever you've got them going in. And so what I try to always do is like, okay, we go on a family trip, and now it's time for mom and I to go away. Like,
That's exactly
our
right.
reward. So I'm with you, man. That's so awesome. I love your style. I love what you're doing. I know you're helping other business owners to, man up, really, as you call it. If people want to get a hold of you and they want to know more about what you do to help business owners, CEOs, I know you help a lot of vets out there. You help a lot of professional men who, basically what you say, find their tribe in a man-made community. So I love that. I love the sense of community out there. How can they get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, appreciate them, man. Well, of course, obviously, you can follow me on Instagram. I think that's really the place that I go most of the time now, and so that's Joshua D. Kalinowski. You can follow us. Man-made.org is the website that you can go to if you are looking for, like, just finding your tribe again. How do you surround yourself with really good men that are pushing themselves in all of these areas that we talked about today, and then going out and doing epic things, right? We go do some amazing challenges that physically push you to the limits in a sense, but also they really help you as an opportunity to really step into your greatness and that ultimate calling that you have on your life. And so, how do you surround yourself with the guys? Well, Man-Made is a group that we can do that with, and of course, obviously, you can just hunt me down at joshkalinowski.com. You can kind of a little bit, you can see my book that I wrote. You can get other information about me, and of course, obviously, you can always reach out to me personally if you just ever want to chat. So I love talking to people that want to elevate themselves and push themselves to new levels, because it inspires me. I mean, I'm not an originator of a lot of the stuff that happens because I'm surrounding myself with other people that challenge me to do it and step into it. I'm just willing to say yes. And I think a lot of people are willing to say yes. They just don't know what they're going to say yes to. So that's why it's super important for you to be following guys like Travis, watching other things that are happening out there so that you know that there's other opportunities for you to step into.
Love it. Thanks for being a guest on the show today, the Balance Growth Show live. This will be aired as a podcast later, but I appreciate your willingness to serve this community of men and entrepreneurs out there who really need a community. We do.
Yeah.
It is so true. We need other people. It's lonely at the top sometimes, right?
Yep.
It's sometimes we need other people to be like, oh, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And rubbing shoulders with good guys out there is super important. So thanks again, Josh, for being on the show.
You bet, man. I will just leave you with one thing that I think it might be really relevant for your people. If you're not doing something that people call odd, chances are you're not going to do anything that people would call great.
Love it. That's tweetable right there, folks. And I love this, Josh. Thank you for being here. Stick around to the end, everyone. We're going to be jumping over to, kind of fill in the rest of this monologue space with some ideas. And I love talking to Josh here because he had some awesome ideas, some epic ideas, some ways to challenge you that I'm actually going to throw in here too. But we're going to talk about the top 10 reasons to take vacations. Okay. And we've discussed some issues. We've discussed why it's maybe important, but here are the top 10 reasons to take vacations. Number one, and this is according to a website called Workful. Number one, prevent burnout and reduce stress. We've talked about this a little bit, but when you're constantly working, right, constantly grinding, as we're discussing here, you'll start to slow down, become less productive. I teach productivity all the time inside the business, but you don't really fully appreciate it till you're outside and can look back in on what's going on. Sometimes people call it being too close to the trees. You can't see the forest. There may be business problems, issues that you have that are solved by simply taking that time off. By taking vacation, you can step back from the business and come back more productive, less stressed than before. Number two, improve your health. Josh and I were talking a little bit about that, right? In the Balanced Growth show that we were just finished on that interview. But so number two is improve your health. Stress can take a toll on your health. Vacations can lower your anxiety, heart rate, blood pressure. Furthermore, by taking a break, you'll reduce your risk of stress-induced heart disease. Now, this is a huge point for me. My father passed away at 49 from what they call the widowmaker. I've talked about this a lot on the show, and I know that it's something that really made me really look at my health and say, what can I do better? How can I be more apt to survive like to my 90s, right? I don't have a really great track record at this point. My dad was on his mountain bike. He was exercising when this happened. He was not a couch potato. This is not well, you just need to eat right and exercise. No, this is a whole different thing. This is about the mental, the stress levels. And that is absolutely true. Number three, come back refreshed. I talked about this earlier, but when you come back and time away, you'll have renewed energy and fresh perspective. You may be able to see problems again and tackle them in a way that's different and new. If we're always trying to do something from the same perspective, we might run out of ideas. Number four, find your inspiration. I think this was the theme of what we've been discussing today. But if you're trying to come up with a new marketing strategy or a new product or whatever it might be for your business, a vacation can get your creative juices flowing. You might talk to individuals on your trip, strangers, or get some new ideas, or even go to a conference and learn some new, things to take away. 5 is improve your skills. When you're relaxed, you can better focus on essential, tedious tasks. Even when you're lying on the beach, your brain will be working on skills you've learned recently, so you have time to produce or process any information you've encountered recently. 6, learn to delegate. Also, one that we talk about a lot on the show. You built your company from the ground up, so letting go. This is practice, right? Going on vacation, this is practice of letting go. So I love that. Lead by example. Your workers deserve a vacation too. Your teammates, I should say, they deserve time off. And as you show them the example, then you can help them in a balanced way. Work hard, be productive, and come back. And quite honestly, if you don't let and give time off and make that an example and priority in your business culture, you're going to be missing out on productivity of your teammates, but also their likelihood of sticking around, because they're going to find a better place to do that. I promise you that. Those are our top 7 that are coming from this article from Workful. And I promised that I would tell you about my system. So here's Travis Perry's system for taking vacations. Again, people, rush me all the time. How do you take, how do you work only 25 hours a week and take 16 weeks of vacation off a year? What are you doing? Again, I'm killing it every year. Like, we've doubled sales consistently, and I've taken more time off. So here's what I do. Number 1, I like to take smaller vacations. Thursday afternoon till Sunday evening. Like, it's an extended weekend. Why? I take Friday. Friday's my day. I snowboard, I mountain bike, I do other things for most of the day, and I take my wife on a date that evening. So I give me a break, Travis. And a lot of times he just needs to be alone, doing his thing. And in the evening, I always make sure I go on a formal date with my wife, whether that's a home date, whether that's, going out, whether that's fun, hiking. We do something together alone without the children. Okay. That gives me pause, and it gives me this mini vacation. Saturday, I'm with the family all day. Sunday, I'm doing church and spiritual stuff and focusing on family history and other things and getting ready for my week. Monday, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm more productive than anyone else out there Monday morning because I've taken this long break. I promise you, this gives me energy and vitality. Number 2 for Travis's system, I don't do any appointments the day before I go on an extended vacation, like a week long, 10 days, whatever. None. All I do is I finish projects. I might show up half day and finish a few things in a t-shirt and jeans. And I'm not working hard. I'm not working with clients. This allows me to prepare to leave. When I come back, I do not take any appointments the day I come back, or even the day after. Usually the day after is the same thing. It's a buffer day where I'm planning, I'm reassessing, I'm processing, I am catching up on some emails. I'm meeting with my team members and finding out what's going on, what's working, what's broken. Okay. I'm reassessing, and that allows me to move forward. Number 3, you need to train your team so that when you do leave them and you're able to delegate, like you're able to trust them. So what do? I meet with them weekly to help what's going on with the business. I meet quarterly just to focus on them. How are you doing? How are your goals? How are you doing financially? How is the business and you matching up? 4, I have great out of office protocols. I have email systems set up so that when clients or potential clients are buzzing me and bugging me on email and whatever, I know how to send them to I call them my captain. I have a sales captain, a marketing captain, operations captain, and I have a fulfillment or coaching captain on our team, offense and defense. That's how I've broken it down. And because of that, I know who to send them to. And a lot of times I will be able to bring in clients while I am gone, while I'm on vacation. We're bringing in a lot of times more clients than when I'm here because of these protocols, because of the example that I'm also setting on balance. Number 5, turn off email and never give out text. Have a work text number. I've got my phone. It's super simple. I have an app there that has a second line that is actually my CRM. It's attached that way, and I can text out business, and I can use it that way. For personal, it's personal, and I shut everything off. I turn off all of my emails. It's not on my phone. If I'm bringing my iPad and I have connection to the email, it's too easy. I pull it up. It's just habit. Am I checking email while I'm on a plane or something? So I don't bring it. I've had clients who have been checking email where they're at a World Cup game, something that they've been wanting to do for years and years and years, but there they are checking work email. Don't do it. Be present. Be on vacation for you, your family, and your spouse, and they will absolutely appreciate it. I'm signing off here for the Balance Growth Show live. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you've been watching this live, we love you. Thank you for sharing this up. These will be podcasts. These will turn into YouTube videos and quick clips. So I want to share one last thing, and that is, let's go over here to this window. Just as a reminder, this is one last quote. Vacations are good for your health, relationships, and business. We've proven that today. Josh and I have talked about this today, and we can both attest that if you're not taking enough vacation time, you are missing out on, again, being productive, being healthy, and having wonderful relationship building opportunities. Thank you again for watching. Until next time, remember, live life on purpose.